Chuckload of Comics is brought to you by Cold War Games, creators of Squarriors, Fight Your Friends, and Lady Death Last Stand. For more information, visit coldwar.us.
This week on Chuckload of Comics, Game of Thrones kills off everybody's new favorite character. Cobra Kai gets renewed for a Season 3, and we're breaking down the trailers for It, Spider-Man, and The Watchmen. It's a really big week, guys. Stick around. This is Chuckload of Comics. Hey guys, welcome to an all-new episode of Chuckload of Comics. It's our Sunday Week in Review show. What a crazy week in the world of fandom. We're going to break down all the headlines in the world of nerddom throughout the week. Joining us here from the fighting city of Tallahassee, Florida, Mr. John Cole. John, welcome to Chuckload of Comics, man.
Hey everybody, yeah. The studio audience, yeah.
We actually do have somebody watching. We have a studio audience for the first time in here. Let's hear a round of applause from the silly section.
The guy on the couch is
So before we start rolling, guys, does everybody put their coffee cups away? We don't have any. There's no Starbucks cups sitting on the table anywhere.
No Starbucks cups. What are you talking about, Chuck?
Oh, you know what I'm talking about. John, did you? The coffee cup that sent ripples around the world on social media this week. Game of Thrones.
Yep.
The Starbucks cup. Well, HBO's killed off everybody's newest favorite character. Of course, we're talking about the coffee cup.
Starbucks cup.
How do you do that? How does that not get caught, A, when you're shooting,
idea.
B, when you're editing, and then the guy posting it, like nobody caught this coffee cup just sitting there.
That's crazy.
In the middle of Game of
Except for
Thrones.
the wonderful people across the world.
Well, the plot is thickened. So this kind of happened, and then everybody was asking, well, whose coffee cup was it? Like, how did that coffee cup wind up there? And it's reached epic social media proportions. You saw Emilia Clarke, who everybody thought it was Daenerys.
Right, because it was sitting right in front of her.
Who left her coffee cup
Yeah.
there, but Daenerys, Emilia Clarke, went on social media and said, no, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink Starbucks. Look, and then she posted a picture of her on set that day drinking tea out of a
Okay.
completely different
It's
cup.
an English thing to do, drink tea. Yeah.
It's
Right.
totally not a Starbucks cup, but then to thicken the plot even further, Emilia Clarke posted a photo of Sophie Turner on set
Sansa.
that day holding the exact same
That's
cup.
right.
Like, I mean, if Sansa and Daenerys didn't already hate each other enough, the rivalry's just gotten even. It's reached epic proportions.
That's too
the internet
funny.
does not forget, guys.
Yeah.
All point, it was her, it was him.
Yeah. No matter what
So
HBO
funny.
does to erase it from existence, we will remember.
I think it's silly that HBO went in and re-edited. They edited out the coffee cups.
The coffee cup heard around the world.
I know. If you watch HBO Go right now and you go to Game of Thrones, they will have After Effects out said Starbucks coffee cup.
Yeah.
They said it actually wasn't a Starbucks cup. It was whoever the coffee company was.
Pete's Coffee.
They took a page out of Lucas Arts right there. You know, just taking it away.
Just chop it out, just like they did the original Darth Vader.
Yeah,
and
right?
Yeah.
They totally Lucas the hell out of that coffee cup. So another big news, guys. This week, Cobra Kai wrapped up a couple weeks ago. Cobra Kai Season 2 with an amazing final episode. John,
Oh, man.
have you started watching the Cobra Kai show yet?
I saw a few episodes. They've been highly entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just taking the original story and putting it on its head. You
I
know?
love it. I love
Making
it.
villains heroes and heroes villains.
So you're still only on the first season, huh?
Yeah, but you know, I'm graduating. You know, little by little.
Well, Season 2 brought us the introduction of John Kreese.
Yes.
The original Cobra Kai sensei came in and just completely flipped the script on everybody. He wants to bring back the original Cobra Kai.
Not this wussy Cobra
This
Kai.
wussy
that
Cobra
Johnny's
Kai that
created.
Johnny's trying to make of everybody gets along and everybody gets a trophy.
They're gonna develop this character because he is a Vietnam hero. I want them to start talking about that. He probably had damage overseas that we're gonna learn about. So
They actually bring that up in this episode, in this season.
Yeah, Season
They do.
2's
Yeah.
phenomenal. And it ends, like that final episode of Season 2, it ends on such a depressing note. People are like on death's door and in the hospital, on the run from the police.
It's
Johnny
so
gets
cool.
a text from a fan favorite character. We won't tell you who that is. We don't want to spoil it for you, but it ends on a kick-ass cliffhanger.
Yeah,
Can't wait.
big time.
So get excited. It's going to get renewed for Season 3. It's coming out probably a year from now.
Yeah.
I wonder how long it takes to produce this show. Like
Probably
a week?
like a week, yeah.
A week to write it and a week to produce 10 episodes?
It's It's great.
It's a
great.
fantastic show. I
It
mean,
is.
it's
The acting
cheesy
is
as hell.
subpar, and it's cheesy, but it's great.
I've said that
It's awesome.
before, but I take that back after watching season 2. The acting and the writing is way better in season 2 than it was in season 1,
That's
in my
true.
opinion.
I like the
That's
fight scenes, you know?
Yeah,
they're
they're
well
great.
choreographed.
Yeah.
It's legit stuff.
I completely agree. Well, speaking of sequels, this week we saw the first trailer for It Chapter 2.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Was this not like the perfect trailer? I've never seen a trailer like this where they show it's a 3-minute trailer and 2.5 minutes of that is just a whole unedited clip, a full
the
clip
film,
of
yeah.
the film, and
It's
what an awesome
It's
clip.
terrifying.
I know.
It's very terrifying. And it's not just one scene that's terrifying. The whole thing is creepy.
Right.
It's
Straight
like
out of the
some-
books,
it's
too.
like Silent Hill creepy, you know?
Yeah,
Love it.
and I mean, oh my God, John, do you like It Chapter 1?
I loved it. Yeah, it was good. I mean, they had a lot to live up with. The you know the
TV
NBC
yeah.
or CBS or whatever came out with it. That was good stuff. And
It was good at the time. You know, it
Yeah.
was great for what it was.
To rewatch it now is a little bit cheesy,
Oh,
A
but
little hokey, but
I don't know. I think that Tim Curry is brilliant. And
That's true.
He is the perfect Pennywise.
honestly, the original miniseries scared me more than It Chapter 1. It
Yeah.
Chapter 1, I mean, I really liked it for what it was, but I liked it more like a Stand By Me film. I liked the kids getting into stuff.
Right.
You know, it wasn't particularly scary, but it was just a good kind of Stephen King story. It's perfectly cast.
That's
oh,
what
man.
Stephen King does best. Is time period pieces like from the '60s. You know, that was when he grew up, and he's very detailed on that. The cars they drive, the things they drink, the clothes they wear.
Yeah.
And that emanates in the It movie.
Totally. Favorite scene, Shauna, from the
first one?
trailer.
From the trailer?
Let's
Oh my
talk
God,
about the new trailer for a second.
The entire thing with Beverly going back to her house. I mean, the whole clip that we saw is just, it's perfect.
I
It's
thought it would be
great.
decades before we'd see another naked old lady in a Stephen King film.
The Shining. I was thinking of that.
They didn't
know,
even
right?
they didn't even save it for the film. They showed it right in the trailer. That was creepy as hell. When she's looking at the picture on the wall,
Yeah.
and then you see the naked old lady walking
Just
across
walk
through the
across
doorway. It's
the
like, did I just see a naked old lady in the middle of YouTube? This wasn't even a red band trailer. This is
Stephen
just
King loves seeing naked ladies.
naked old ladies.
There's something creepy about that. You know, something getting chased by
There's a killer scene of James McAvoy, who
Uh.
plays Stuttering Bill, all grown up. The adult cast
Oh
is
my
freaking
God,
amazing.
perfect.
James McAvoy,
Bill
Jessica
Hader.
Chastain, Bill Hader. Oh my God, Beep Beep Richie, perfect Bill Hader. I think he's playing
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Richie, isn't
yeah.
he? Oh my
It's
God, when you see
perfect
little
casting.
Georgie in the sewer,
Yeah.
when the music kicks in, I mean, the trailer would have been great if it was just that clip. But then, bam, the music hits you so loud like it's a Star Wars trailer.
Yeah,
and
it
it just goes to these fast cuts of just scary ass shit,
so
and you see
cool.
Pennywise at the very end going, hello.
I can't wait for
Oh my
this
God,
movie.
I'm-
It's going to be so great.
So, box office predictions, guys. The first It Chapter 1 broke box office records. It's the
For horror
highest.
movies, right?
It's the
Yeah.
highest grossing horror film of all time.
That's
I'm
crazy.
surprised
Number
by
2
that.
being The Exorcist.
Wow,
Mm.
that's pretty cool actually.
You think Part 2 is gonna beat it?
Well, everyone who saw the first one's gonna see the second one. So
Right.
yeah, and word of mouth has increased. So it's a good chance it could. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so too.
I think so too. Well, it comes out in September, guys. Tickets will probably go on sale maybe in August.
Cool.
So get your AMC Stubbs A-list and buy your
Reserve
tickets
your
early for It Chapter 2 coming out this September.
Oh, I can't wait.
The second trailer that broke the internet this week,
Another sequel.
I've never seen. Spider-Man Far From Home, the trailer. Let's just start off with the spoiler warning
Yeah.
at the beginning of the
You
trailer.
got-
John, what is it? What a weird world we live in where a movie... People are always complaining that the trailer spoils the movie. Now we have trailers that spoil other
Other
movies.
movies.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a cool thing? You know, spoiling one film that's just been in theaters for 3 weeks and you're going to spoil it
Yeah, I think
already?
it's great because that means the movies are all entertaining, and
Yeah.
it is a universe, you know, and it's epic, and it's the only way to describe it. I'm looking really forward to it. The effects are incredible. You know, I
Yeah,
remember in
Mysterio
time-
looks awesome.
I remember Clash of the Titans. That was good effects back then.
Right.
And you know, movies are an experience now. You know, it's just not. You want to escape from reality, and they do that, especially with this movie. I'm looking forward to it. Mysterio is gonna warp reality. We all know what he does, so things are gonna look great.
Well, let's talk about Mysterio for just a second. This trailer makes it look like Mysterio is going to be the good guy.
Right?
Obviously, we
is
know
not a
Mysterio
good
is not
guy.
a hero. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
They talk about the multiverse for like the first time, I think, in the MCU. They say that Nick Fury says that the snap opened up a rip in reality that has opened up a world of multiverse
Portals. Yeah.
portals. You can now introduce the Fantastic Four coming from other realities. You can introduce the X-Men
Yes.
through other realities. I mean,
It's perfect.
Yeah,
They were thinking.
it's like the perfect film to wrap up Phase 3.
Right.
Absolutely. And I heard your fan fiction about that. You care to discuss that, or is that off topic?
No, let's talk about my theory. It's not my personal theory. I mean, the theory's out on the internet. Obviously, we know Mysterio's not a good guy.
Right.
Yeah, he's a
So
bad guy.
he's gonna. I mean, he's known as an illusionist, a trickster. He pulls the wool over people's eyes professionally.
Right.
I think that Nick Fury isn't even Nick Fury.
Right.
I
Because
think-
why would he partner with a
villain,
A
yeah.
villain, yeah.
Exactly. I think Nick Fury or Maria Hill, one of them, is actually the Chameleon, the very first villain from
Interesting.
Amazing Spider-Man #1. Spider-Man's first villain. We've never seen him referenced in any of the movies.
Wow.
What if the Chameleon is actually posing as Nick Fury? The Chameleon and Mysterio team up. Maybe there isn't even a multi-universe of the multiverse. Maybe that's just all BS
Oh my
that they're
gosh.
selling to young Peter Parker.
This is
Interesting.
crazy.
Yeah, good theory.
I think everything we've seen in this trailer is going to take place in the first 30 minutes of the film. Obviously, I
Probably.
don't think the Elementals are going to be the big villain.
Mm-hmm.
I think Mysterio and possibly the Chameleon are going to be the big bads
I love that
of
theory.
the film.
I subscribe to it.
I can't wait to see if it plays out.
Any other villains you want to see in the Spider-Man universe, John, that you think might make an appearance in this film? I mean, we've seen hintings to. I mean, who all have we seen?
I mean, I like Rhino. He's just a giant thug, and he just rams over banks and takes their money. But he's not like a high level villain. He's just a goon, really.
Yeah.
The Vulture is pretty awesome. I mean, there's
Totally.
so many good villains. Spider-Man's got the second best roster of villains next to Batman.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's so many to choose from.
Scorpion, they hinted at in the last Spider-Man movie in the post-credit sequence.
That's right.
The dude, Vulture gets sent to prison, and you see the dude with the scorpion tattoo on his neck.
Yeah.
Happy Hogan looks great in this.
I know.
I am
I'm so glad
loving
he's in
the
this
relationship
movie.
between Happy and
Spider-Man.
John Favreau's character and Spider-Man. He's become almost his new
Surrogate
mentor,
father
his
kind
new
of thing,
surrogate
yeah.
father.
Yep.
Perfect leading out of Endgame.
I love it.
Because Happy has one of the most tear-jerky scenes in the entire film when he's sitting down with Iron Man's daughter at the front porch
Aw.
talking about cheeseburgers. And it's also interesting. The death of Tony Stark is it's akin to the death of Uncle Ben. They
Right.
never did the death of Uncle Ben in
You
this.
didn't say spoiler alert. To
Spoiler
everybody
alert.
watching.
Sorry,
guys.
I didn't do my Tom Holland spoiler alert at the beginning of this.
I'm sure most of your fans and watchers and viewers have already seen the movie, so
I would certainly hope
we
so.
can spoil it all we want.
Yeah,
We just saw it
Iron Man
last
dies. There,
Yeah,
Band-Aid.
Iron Man's
Rip the
dead.
Band-Aid. And they play in that really heavy in the beginning of this trailer.
Oh yeah, big time. But
You
like
know?
to John's point, I think it's great because it shows us fans that they are keeping the storylines going throughout the universe. So
And his contract's ended, so they had to kill him off anyway.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Thor's living on. That's cool that he's with the
I
Guardians.
know.
Are you not excited about the Asgardians of the Galaxy?
oh my god, it's gonna be great. It's
'Cause
perfect.
of all the series, that's my favorite. The
I
fact they got
agree.
a badass raccoon just shooting everything in sight. It's a fun series.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's funner than X-Men or anything else that Marvel's got. I like it better than Avengers.
The Guardians?
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first Guardians I think was the best Marvel movie.
Yeah.
They came out with.
It's
yeah.
certainly in my
I-
top 3.
Yep.
We're not going to get into our top 3 Marvel movies. That's a whole show in and of
Talk all
itself.
days about, yeah.
But yeah, that Spider-Man Far From Home trailer, another almost perfect trailer. It gave you so much dirt, so much awesomeness, and I guarantee you everything we saw in that trailer takes place in the first 30 minutes. I don't think we've seen any part of this movie.
I agree because I mean most of Tom Holland that you see is him in the beginning and fighting, and then he tells the cops, "I'm going on vacation."
Right.
So at
That'll be the beginning. And then he's going to go to, where does he go to,
Paris,
Italy?
I think. Oh.
Because they're in Venice, right? They're all on boats and stuff. He's going to run into the Elemental. Well, first he's going to run into Nick Fury. Then they're going to have a battle with the Elementals. And then after that battle,
Then Mysterio
then
comes
he
in.
meets Mysterio.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the movie's going to happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love it. That's
I know.
perfect.
I'm excited. I love fan theorizing about plots, and I'm never right. I
right?
totally missed the mark on The Last Jedi,
And Endgame.
and Endgame, and Infinity War.
Well, that's why people like this stuff. It keeps you gussing.
Right,
You know?
Yeah.
exactly.
And the fans, it's like when you're in the playground, you're talking with your friends. Who would win a fight, Mr. T or Mr. Clean?
Right.
It's like,
I gotta say,
I've
Mr.
never
T.
heard that one.
I
Good
just
one.
made it up, but it's. Well, also you got I was talking about who would win a fight, Aliens versus Predator. They actually make it.
They
these
made that
movies
movie.
now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
know.
Freddy
Great.
versus Jason.
Yep.
It's a good time to be alive right now if you're
Agreed.
if you're a fan of these great characters and all these cool.
It's an amazing time to be alive. We're living in the golden age of nerd cinema.
Right?
And it's not going to last forever, so enjoy it while it lasts, people.
Yeah.
It's only going to get worse from here.
That's not true.
I mean, well, unless Kevin Feige dies, I think we're good to go for a while.
Well, I remember when the internet came out, they were talking about this was going to be the death of the comic book shop, and that's not true. That's not what happened.
It's
They
only fueled.
create
Yeah.
more fans. That's right.
Exactly, yep.
And so
Yeah, comic book shops we're totally going off on a tangent here, but comic book shops were dying in the 90s.
Yep.
And then introduction of the web
cinematic
and more
universe,
access
too.
to independent comic
Yep.
book makers. And then the cinematic universe hits, and then bam. All thank you to Jon Favreau.
the Iron Man
Right.
came out and just made $1 billion, and then studios started looking at this stuff.
Yep.
You know, and DC's got a lot to catch up with because Marvel had them. They had the money and they had the star power. And DC came out swinging out weak with Suicide Squad. Everyone knows
God.
that. But everyone loves Batman. Superman, in my opinion, is kind of played out. Superman is not a good. His movies aren't good because he's just too powerful. It's hard to root for a guy who has little to no
Infinite
weaknesses.
yeah.
It's like Thanos
Wait.
with the gauntlet.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just have Thanos. Everybody kind of wanted an Endgame for Thanos to have the gauntlet and be rocking the gauntlet. It's like he's unbeatable.
Right.
You got to take the gauntlet away from him and level the playing field a little bit.
Superman's got average to slightly above average intellect, but his greatest villain is Luthor, who's the mastermind of crime. Always just get him in traps and stuff. And I'd like to see something besides.
Speaking of the mastermind of crime,
It's McCavity, the mystery cat over here. Yeah, Superman's got a weak list of rogues. We were
Yeah,
talking.
he's got
about-
one.
Yeah,
Two.
Really. Brainiac also. Jim Carrey was supposed to do Brainiac years ago.
Oh, interesting.
Riddler and Brainiac, huh?
Yeah, right.
Kevin Smith wrote a Superman script that didn't get picked up.
I know.
And Nick
Heard
Cage
about
was
The Nick
supposed to-
Cage one. Yep. It had Brainiac in it and everything.
Yeah, I want to read that. I'm sure it was going to be a bad ass
I'm
picture.
sure it was too.
Yeah,
Would've
they've
been great.
talked to Tim Burton, and he said, "Nah, it's never going to happen. Never
Thanks,
going to happen." Well, John, I want to get your opinion on the final trailer of the week that we want to break into. We've all known for a little while that HBO is working on a Watchmen series,
So cool.
limited series on HBO for the Watchmen. The show is going to take place in present day, so it takes place about 40 years after the events of the Watchmen book. I know you're a huge Watchmen fan.
Yeah.
You saw the trailer for this. Your thoughts on what we saw in the trailer? What'd you like? What did you not like? What do you think about the series existing at all?
I mean, it's. I'm glad that they're doing it. Like I said, they're expanding on it. I'm sure Alan Moore doesn't like it. Alan Moore, doesn't like any of his movies. He doesn't want his name on the pictures or be associated with them.
That's interesting.
The Watchmen. They were supposed to make a Watchmen in the 1980s. It was going to be. What's that guy from Monty Python who did Brazil? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
Terry Jones.
Terry
I think.
Gilliam.
Gilliam.
Gilliam. Yeah, he was supposed to. It was going to be a 12-part series on TV, but the budget was $4 million.
Jeez. Back in the 80s.
Yeah, so it got shelved. But I think that Watchmen, with his brilliant mind, would have been awesome. Zack Snyder did a great job.
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
I really like
That
the
was
Watchmen.
great. I
It's
think
the
the
most
movies-
accurate film or comic to film adaptation ever, except for the ending.
Yeah, he took out some stuff like the black frigate, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. Which, getting back to the trailer, they hinted at that. There's this one shot of a sickle with a pirate flag hanging from it as they're
saw
panning
that.
along.
That's pretty
So
crazy.
I think they're hinting at that pirate, the Black Freighter. Tales of the Black Freighter, I think is what it was called.
And
Or
that
was it Frigate?
That was an EC. I think it was an actual EC comic book.
Yeah.
Really?
That he loved as a child, and he incorporated into it because I guess it had an impact on him. But Alan Moore's the most brilliant mind in comic books. I mean, we know he did that. He did Swamp Thing, V for Vendetta. He thinks outside the box, and he just doesn't. And the fact that he took superheroes and created them into like a real life scenario, not like cartoony.
Right.
But he made it like kick-ass. Where these are actual people. They have flaws. They're
Big
just,
time.
Yeah,
Comedian,
right.
comedian was not a hero
Yeah.
in the slightest. He was a rapist and a.
is not a hero either. That dude's just a sick puppy.
Well, let's talk about Rorschach. In the trailer, we see that now this takes 40 years later. There's a whole
Like
cult
cult.
of Rorschach followers
Yes.
who are going to take over the world. The police department, all wearing masks.
Yeah, that's interesting.
What's your take on the fact that they're all wearing yellow masks? Is it that, I mean, is society looking for masked heroes, and that's what they decided to do? Let's put the police department in masks because people trust people in masks?
That's probably the direction. That's a good direction to go into. If I was going to speculate, I'd say that'd probably be correct. The front line, first responders. they
Or
got the
is it
mask.
because people maybe hate the cops for some reason and they need to disguise
need to hide their
themselves?
identity.
I mean, I think maybe that could be a plausible thing.
I got a lot of faith in the writers for HBO. I mean, I'm sure they didn't pinch any pennies
Right.
in
It's
getting writers and
HBO.
directors for this thing.
And it's a mini series. It's not like, so that's perfect.
The only character we saw carry over from the original to this is Adrian Veidt, played by Jeremy Irons.
Man,
Killer
the
casting.
show is great.
Ozymandias.
Yeah, Ozymandias by Jeremy Irons
And-
looks sick. He's just sitting there in he's like in a yoga position, watching because he was
The Survivor.
Yeah.
he's one of the only survivors. Yeah.
Right.
The Spectre went off. I'm sure they went off and got married and lived a different life. So he is
Night Owl.
He
Yeah.
is the catalyst for the whole thing.
Night Owl survived the Watchmen, didn't he?
Yeah,
He did.
Yeah, and he won. Silk Spectre. I'm sure.
Yeah,
ended
they
up
probably got off
attacking
married. They
that.
probably have their child in this show
There you go.
And,
somewhere. The clock, the ticking clock, which was kind of the universal theme of this trailer. The tick tock, tick tock. Every time they showed a clock, all the clocks were like 10 minutes to midnight. They showed it a couple times. It was
Interesting, I
in a
didn't
pocket
realize that.
watch. It was on a little desk clock, and even if you look back on it, when all the Rorschach people, the cult of Rorschachs, there's a crucifix behind them. The crucifix is
Slightly-
angled just a little
really?
bit.
Oh, that's creepy.
That's the doomsday
Almost.
clock. That when that clock strikes midnight, it's nuclear war.
Mm-hmm.
And when the series came out in the mid '80s, that was seriously on people's mind.
Sure.
We thought we were going to go to war with Russia and everyone was going to die. So when he wrote that, it was in a climate that's different now. Nixon was still president in that. And we all know that Nixon was not a good president. It's like we're living in Alan Moore's bizarre reality right now. Political things.
Don Johnson, we saw at the very end.
Killer
Who is-
casting. Not sure
who
who
is
he's
Don
playing.
Johnson going to be? Because he does say, TikTok. That's the final line of
Yeah.
the trailer's TikTok. Is
I noticed that.
Don Johnson one of the Rorschach followers?
know.
Because he's obviously plays like a sheriff. You
Yeah.
can tell.
Oh yeah, we're all speculating for the people watching. We have no idea.
But at the beginning, I mean, the Rorschach followers were all saying tick tock, and at the very end, it's
Well-
Don Johnson saying tick tock, tick tock.
To me, I think that was just whoever he was having the conversation with. He wanted him to know, like, he knew that guy was part of it.
Almost
of
like
thing.
Hail Hydra in Endgame when
Yeah.
Captain America's sitting in the elevator and he's like,
Right.
Hail Hydra.
well,
And
the
he's
clock represents like
Doomsday.
Yeah, it's
Right.
serious. So this show's pretty. It's gonna be epic. Whatever the clock represents, it's gonna be the end of the world as they know it in that series.
Yeah, well, the point of trailers, as we say all the time, is to heighten your excitement.
Right.
If the trailer doesn't heighten your excitement for the movie or for the show, then it failed at doing its job. Shauna, did this trailer excite you about the show? Did it heighten your
Absolutely.
enthusiasm for it?
I mean, even though I have no idea what it's going to be about, I still loved the casting. I love that Don Johnson's in it. I think it's going to be great.
They
I'm
didn't show
excited.
Dr. Manhattan though, and
No.
he left the Earth. He
Yeah.
went somewhere else.
you almost can't do Watchmen without Dr.
He
Manhattan.
might get an experience.
He's going to have to.
Yeah.
Dong swinging.
This won't be. Yeah, there you go. This won't be the last of it. I mean, this is gonna. If it is a hit, they'll make more of them and more.
For
Series.
sure.
I mean, it's an ever-expanding universe.
Yeah.
They could turn this into the next MCU on television.
And it's pretty much all that DC has right now. So,
Yeah.
in for a penny, in for a pound, right?
So,
Right?
John, excitement level. Did this amp up your excitement level for the show, or were you excited at all before the trailer dropped?
I'm gonna watch it. I watch pretty much everything that comes on HBO. Not to do another product placement, brought to you by
Empire Strikes Back. Walt Disney Company.
But everything HBO does not make bad programming.
They don't.
It's true.
They just do not. I've been watching HBO since Dream On and Larry Sanders Show.
Right.
So, of course I'm gonna watch it. It's on
Yeah.
HBO. There's no commercials.
That should be their slogan. Of course, I'm going to watch it.
HBO.
It's on HBO. There's no commercials.
Yeah, it's an hour straight. And most shows when you watch, with the commercials, it ends up being 15
40
minutes.
minutes, yeah.
20 minutes with a 30-minute show. But now with HBO, you get your money's worth. It's only $14.97 a month.
Well, on that note, guys, that's kind of your nerd news of the week. Thanks for watching Chuckload of Comics. John, thanks for being here, man.
All right, I'd love to be back. High five.
We're going to have you on via Skype sometime,
There
all the
you
way
go.
down from Florida.
I'm all about nerds. We
You
can
know
talk
your stuff, man.
about D&D if you want.
No offense to anybody that's been on the show before, but you're probably the most knowledgeable guest we've ever had on Chuckload of Comics.
Oh, well, that's a great honor. Thank you.
You're very welcome. We want to bring back the villain of the week at some point.
Yes, sir.
Well, cool, guys. Thanks. If you made it this far into the video, please take a second, click that subscribe button, join the Chuckload of Comics family. We're here every single Sunday breaking down the weekly nerdy headlines of the week, and there's always good stuff to talk about. Every week, something drops, and we're going to pick it up right here on Chuckload of Comics.
Woohoo!
So, guys, have a fantastic week. Thanks for watching. We'll see you here next Sunday.
Bye-bye.